Hello and welcome to another vlog. If you've not seen me before, my name's Adam and I'm the owner of Rainbow & Co, which is an LGBTQ+ apparel and accessories brand. So this week's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to do a Q&A. So I asked on the Rainbow & Co Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok for some questions, and I didn't get many, but I'm going to expand on them quite a bit. So yeah, let's kick off with the first one. So the first question was, what made you want to start the business? Now, there's some background to this. So I was full-time employed as a social media manager. This was back in 2018. And when I started the job, it was amazing. I really enjoyed it, and I felt I was doing really well. And then as the time passed on, I was there for about 18 months. As it got to the end of the 18 months, there was too much pressure. I went from having like 4 social media clients to like 27 social media clients. My mental health was just really bad. I was so anxious all the time. I was like, when I'm anxious, which is a lot of the time, I get physical effects. So I get stomach ache, feeling sick, like overheating, and I was coming home from work and just crying my eyes out, crying all the way to work, driving to work, just because I couldn't cope with like the pressure. And it was my first time really that I'd been in an office. I'd worked in an office before, but usually it was just me there because it was a really small team. So I was struggling with that job, and in the background, and as a result of me struggling with that job, I'd started trying to pursue an autism diagnosis. Now, it had been something that people had said to me for years, like they thought I were autistic. Like my sister used to say it all the time, and my mum, unbeknownst to me, had already mentioned it to our GP. But obviously, it was me that it was about, so my mum and her GP couldn't refer me. I hadn't done anything about it in the past, even though people had said it to me, because it had caused me problems, but I just thought it was like anxiety and stuff. But it hadn't been detrimental to the point where it had affected like my life, where in this case it was. So I was pursuing an autism diagnosis in the background of that. Eventually, in September 2018, I was forced to leave the job, basically, because I couldn't cope. I wasn't able to be going into the office. Like I say, I was like crying all the way to the office, and then I would have to park like a few streets away and like end up ringing my mum because I couldn't physically go into the office. And I was just hysterical. It was awful. So that was in like through summer 2018. And I left the job in 2018. And a couple of months prior to leaving, it was like Pride Month and stuff, and I wanted to do something that was like an extra thing on top of my full-time job anyway. So I'd started building a website which was to become Rainbow & Co, and that was because when I went to Pride, I am gay myself, but I'm also trans. But at Pride events, it was kind of only like the gay cis men that was represented, especially in like apparel, like t-shirts you could buy and like at the stalls. And me and my friends were like not represented at all. And so that's where the idea came from to start Rainbow & Co. So right from the off, my goal with Rainbow & Co was to represent as many different identities in the LGBTQIA+ community as possible, which is still my goal today. Like I still continue to add different identities as often as I can. So yeah, that's how the business started. And then, so the business started in September 2018, and then I actually got a formal autism diagnosis in February 2019. So, and that was a relief really, because it was just kind of confirmed what we already knew. And gave me it cemented in my head that like I needed to work for myself, because I couldn't cope with like the politics of an office and like the sounds and sights, the sounds and smells and like the lighting and just the like banter. Like that's the thing that I struggle with in that environment. Like I don't understand banter. I don't generally find it like funny. And when someone's like, "Oh, I'm just joking," I'm like, "But it's not funny." So I didn't get that, and that was like really, as well as having all the pressure from my actual work, it was all like the social communication stuff that was fueling my anxiety and basically making me unable to function. So getting my autism diagnosis in 2019 helped me to know for certain and have a reason behind why I was feeling how I was and my reactions to stuff, and cement in my mind that I needed to be self-employed so that I had a bit of control over the situation. So yeah, that's how Rainbow & Co started. So the next question is, what's been your biggest business challenge? And I think it's changed over time. So right at the beginning, it was probably just like finding funds to start up. So things like getting the paying for the website, hosting, and paying for stock and things. I did do a lot of it myself because I obviously had just come from a full-time job, so I did have some money to sort of start the business, but not a lot at all. So in that first, as I say, I started in September 2018. So for the summer of 2019, I did like a little fundraiser. I think it was on like GoFundMe, or I can't actually remember where it was, but it was just for family and friends basically, to help me get to our first Pride events. And I think it raised like 650 quid or something like that, which I was so grateful for, because without doing that little fundraiser, like I wouldn't have been able to pay for the stalls up front and been able to go to the events. So yeah, at the beginning it was probably the funding, because obviously I needed to get stock and pay startup fees like the website and the website address and like emails, all kinds of things like that. I also got a little bit of funding through Universal Credit and the New Enterprise Allowance scheme, I guess, which is when you are on Universal Credit, you want to go self-employed, you can apply for like startup funds, and it's like, I don't know if it's weekly or monthly, I can't quite remember. I think it worked out at something like £1,200 in total, over like, but that's like over a year or something. So it was just like a bit each month, but it kept me going, like kept the cash flow going, and that was purely for the business, so it was on top of any Universal Credit or any other benefits that I was getting. But now I'd say that's like an actual business problem. Like I feel like all businesses have that, like new businesses, like I think it's something like 50% of new businesses fail within the first 3 years because of like cash flow and stuff like that. So I think that's like quite a common challenge. But now I'd say that my biggest challenge is sort of managing myself. And what I mean by that is like I'm really easily overwhelmed. I find it difficult to stay on task. Like I'm easily distracted, and I'm also like get hyper focused. So if I'm distracted by something and end up watching like a YouTube video, then I'll go into a fixation of watching YouTube videos for hours, and I can't, like I'll need to like snap out of it. And I struggle with like setting priorities, and because I run the business mostly just me, my mum helped me at stalls, but on a day-to-day it's just me doing everything. And because there's so much to do, I find it overwhelming, and I also, like, I try to make a big list of things that I want to do, but then that list is overwhelming, so sometimes it ends up nothing gets done because I'm too stressed about it. And then, so I need like help keeping on track and things. So obviously, because I do everything myself, that's like accounting, marketing, product design, everything. Like, I built the website, I do all of the like graphic design the products, design the social media posts, post them, just like general emailing, sending out newsletters, just everything. It's just a lot to keep on top of. I've recently found out about a scheme called the Access to Work scheme, which I'm going to be applying for, and I'll hopefully get some help through that in terms of like a support worker who can help me with like prioritizing tasks and creating like systems and setting goals and like checking in, making sure that I'm keeping on with the things that I want to do, because I know what I want to do and I know that I'm capable of actually physically doing the things. Like, I know I can do the social media, I can do X, Y, and Z, but it's just actually getting out of my own head to get doing it, and breaking down huge tasks into smaller ones. So like, one thing I want to do is revamp the website, but obviously I've got hundreds of products on there and it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of different tasks to switch over to a new website, and I just need like a bit of help organising that and organising my thoughts and just helping me to look past what's happening right in front of me. So if a task arises and it's like, oh, I need to reply to that email, I can do that right away and do it dead quick, because it's like a quick win. Whereas like, I want to be able to set goals and be like, right, in 3 months, in 6 months, and still be working towards them on a day-to-day basis, which I feel like I do at the moment, but it's very slow and things take me like 10 times as long as it would take a neurotypical person because of how my brain works. So hopefully I'll be getting some support through Access to Work, and I might have a support worker or something in future who can help me to progress more. So the next question kind of relates to the last one, because it is, how do you do your cash flow, or how did you know what to do? Because that's what I find the most difficult in business. It was actually my sister who asked this question. So at the beginning of the business, I just kind of winged it, and I didn't like really know what I was doing. I'm very detail oriented, and like, I would record everything in a spreadsheet and stuff like that, but I didn't have any accounting programs or anything like that. And obviously I had help from family and friends through the fundraiser that I mentioned previously. But it was basically, for the most part, self-funded. So I would just take money out of my personal bank and put it in the business account if I needed money, basically, in the business, and vice versa. If I needed to pay myself something, I'd just take it out of the business account. And then probably, maybe it was like middle of last year, or it might have even been sort of 2020. I can't remember. The past 2 years are just a blur, aren't they? But at some point, I switched over to using the Profit First method. So Profit First is an accounting system by, I'm probably going to butcher his name, but I will try, and I'll put it on the screen in a minute as well. Mike Michalowicz, something like that. I'll put the link in the description and the picture of the book on screen. So essentially, you have different accounts of pots for different things. So you'll have all of your money for your business comes into one account, and then you'll have like a tax account, a profit account, an owner's pay account, and then you set them to different percentages. So you might say, okay, I need to put 10% in the profit part, I need to put 10% in the tax part, and I need to put 20%, 30% in owner's pay. And you can have there's different pots. It's American based, the system, so sometimes they have different pots for things that we wouldn't necessarily need. But that's basically how it works. And so any money that comes in, say you've got £1,000 comes into the business, you would then move 20% of that to one pot, 10% to another, 10% to another, and the percentages are up to you. And you are supposed to like improve on them every quarter. So once you've moved your money from the main account to the pots, whatever's left in the main account is for your operating expenses. So paying for your website, paying for anything that normally comes out of your business, like stock and things. is your operating expenses. And then every quarter you adjust the percentages. So we're trying to get the operating expenses down and the profit and your pay up, basically. So in terms of paying yourself, you pay yourself on the 10th and the 25th of every month. You set a salary or a wage for yourself. So for example, just to keep things easy, if you say, right, I'm going to pay myself £1,000 every month, that would mean 500 on the 10th and 500 on the 25th. But the trick is you can only take that money out of the business if there's enough in the owner's pay account. So when money's come in and you split it off into the different pots by percentage, if on the 10th you go to get your £500 to pay yourself and there's only £300 in the account, then you don't get paid for that date. You just have to wait till the next date. And it works both ways though. So you might go to the pot and it has £800 in, but you're only supposed to be taking 500, so you want to take 500. But that would mean that next time you're building up that pot every time, and then again every quarter you can increase your pay if you're able to. And that's been working well so far. So yeah, that's the profit first method. It basically just means that when you've got money coming into your account, it's always got a place to go, and then you know you're going to make a profit. Like, you have to make 5-10% profit because you've already took it off the top, and that's the whole thing, profit first. So when money comes in, you've gone, right, I'm going to make 10% profit on everything I sell, and then you move that over to your profit account, and it's in a different account, so you can't touch it. You're not just taking back out of it to pay for stuff. That's done, it's sat there. If there's not enough money in the operating expenses to pay for stuff, then you need to play with your percentages and figure it out so that it does work. Obviously, I'm only using like 10%, 5% as examples. You get to decide your percentages and decide how profitable your business is, depending on your margins and stuff. So yeah, check out Profit First. So the next question is from someone I went to uni with, and Dave asks, what does a typical working day look like for you? And I feel like people ask this question because they think I'm just sat at home doing nothing, which sometimes is true. But then also a lot of the time I work funny hours. Like, I'll do like a couple of hours in the day. Like, I don't start work at 9 and finish at 5 or whatever. I'm working 7 days a week, all hours. Like, I'll do emails at like 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm packing orders at weekends. Like, as I said previously, I do everything in the business, so it's not a case of clocking on and clocking off kind of thing, which is good in some ways but also bad in some ways, because sometimes I do think at weekends like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, but then part of me is like, well, it's your business, like, you should be doing it. It's just trying to get that balance kind of thing. But like, there are things that I do on a daily or weekly basis, or like every other day, things like packing orders, creating social media graphics, posting them on social media, replying to emails, replying to comments on social media, taking orders to the post box or to the post office, collecting stuff from the post office. So they're things like that are continual. And then there's stuff that is like researching for new products, designing new products, setting up advertising like Google Ads, or doing SEO, or doing a stock take, which takes forever, and buying and organising stock. Like, those kind of things are just as and when they need to happen. Whereas obviously doing things like packing orders and stuff is like a day-to-day thing. But I'd say that there isn't really a typical day, other than I probably, like, generally you'll see from the previous vlogs that I've done, I tend to start work later. So I probably start doing work at like 11 AM until about 5, half 5. And then I also do more work after that. So like about half 5 we have our tea, and then I'll do work after that. It depends how like hyper focused I've become on something. If I've started a task and I'm really like laser focused on it, then I will do that task like when if I design something with like with pride flags on, because there's so many pride flags now, it takes a long time to do the product in every variation. So I can be doing something like that for hours and not stop, whereas other times I get overwhelmed and then do nothing. So it just depends on the day and what's ahead of me. Obviously, if I'm going to actual like pride events, then, you know, I have to get up and have to go to the event, and that takes up the majority of my day because it's usually like 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. or even later it could be. So they're like really long days. And if that was the case, I would like try and take some time off in the week rather than work ridiculous hours all weekend and then still work all through the week. So yeah, there is no typical day really. Sorry to disappoint you, Dave. So the next question is, how do you come up with the ideas for designs like the future is fluid or the sushi rolls, not gender roles? So there's a few different ways that I come up with designs. Sometimes it might just be something I've like seen on TV or in the news or on Twitter or something that's triggered something. Like it might just be like a phrase or something like that I thought, oh, that'd be cool, like as a sticker, or that'd be cool on a mug or whatever. But I also take requests from followers, so people can message me on any social media platform or via the website and say, oh, I'd love some of this flag socks, or have you thought about doing designs for asexual people, or have you thought about this? And I'm more than happy to take requests. The only thing I would say is I try to do my own designs, as in like one of the problems when I started Rainbow and Coat was that everything at pride events around the country was all the same. Like it was all, as I said previously, targeted at cis gay men, was all rainbow, but they were all the same t-shirts, they were all the same designs because they were just all buying them from like a wholesalers. So if you request something from me, I will do my research first and see if it's out there. And if it is out there, which it usually is, to be honest, you know, there's not many original ideas, then I will like put a twist on it, do a different graphic, do a different phrase or whatever, try and make it my own in some way. And that's kind of how the Future is Fluid design, the sushi rolls design, they come from like making a twist. So you may have seen there was the shirts that was like the future is female, and then obviously I've just switched it to the future is fluid, and gone with more of like illustrated design rather than like just typography. And same for the sushi rolls, not gender rolls. There's loads of variations. I think there's one that's like cinnamon rolls, not gender rolls, and like sausage rolls, not gender rolls. So it's just like kind of taking a design and putting your own spin on it. And then there's also designs that I'm come up with, as I say, from seeing someone on Twitter or something that's happening in the community. An example of that would be my turf repellent design, which is now available on pretty much everything: pins, stickers, t-shirts, and obviously that was born out of the turf, the rise in turfs on Twitter and social media in general, just the world in general. But yeah, so it's like a response to things that are happening in the LGBTQIA plus community. And they're the designs that tend to do the best, to be honest. And I really need to do some new designs actually, because I've not really done like a full collection of new designs for a while. Because as I said previously, I just get overwhelmed and there's so much to be getting on with. But if you've got any ideas for designs that you would like to see, or if you would like to see some designs more for a specific identity or whatever, as long as it's relevant to the LGBTQIA plus community, then I'm more than happy to give it a go. And then finally, just a couple of questions that are a bit less serious, a bit less about the business. So the first one is, how old are you and when is your birthday? So I'm 30 right now, which feels ancient to me. But I think it's okay because generally people think I'm younger than I am, which is helped by the fact that I'm really short. I'm only 5 foot. So I'm cool with being 30. 30's the new 21. Oh, I'm leaving that in because that's just ridiculous. Yes, so I'm 30 now and my birthday is the 25th of May. So I will be turning 31 on the 25th of May this year. And then finally, to finish off, a fun one, what's your favourite food? And actually, when I saw this question, I was like, I haven't got a clue. Like, I don't know what my favourite food is. I love sweets, like things like Percy Pigs, like Haribo, Laces, all that kind of stuff that's bad for you. And then, like savoury, I like pizza, pasta, noodles, basically carbs. So sweets and carbs, they're my favourite foods. And that's all the questions I had. So thank you very much if you've watched all the way through. If you've got any other questions for me, ask them in the comments or ask them on any of the Rainbow & Co social media profiles, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, wherever you like. And I'd be more than happy to make another Q&A video and reply to you straight away on the platform. I think it's really good having the conversation back and forth between me and my followers because it's a relationship that you wouldn't get with like a big company. There's just me running the business, apart from my mum helping me at events that some of you've probably met at events. But I want to like develop this relationship with my customers, but I don't really want to say customers because like we're all part of the same community. Obviously you're buying from me, but I give back to the community through donations and hopefully give back to the community through like blog posts and stuff that we put out there into the world. So yeah, let's keep the conversation going, that's what I'll say. So you can ask me anything or have a chat and I would love to get to know you guys better too. Thanks for watching, I'll see you again next week.